Hello, welcome back, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is part 3 of the AWS Lambda video series, and we are going to discuss here the important components, the terms of AWS Lambda. The first point, AWS Lambda is an AWS compute service that lets you run your code without provisioning or managing servers. So it means that we don't need to worry about the infra side, like as we discussed in the previous videos also, like for running AWS Lambda or for running our script or utility on AWS Lambda. We don't need to worry about the machine, what virtual machine, what capacity, what resources will be utilized. Okay, that is the responsibility of AWS Lambda to configure the and provision the resources behind the scene. Okay, and we don't have to worry about that. So that is the first point. It automatically provisions the server as per the required traffic or the demand of the script or the application. That's the first point. Secondly, Lambda pricing model is very flexible and cost effective in comparison of other physical resources like EC2 Elastic Beans. So Lambda pricing model is pay as you go, like other compute services like EC2 instances, EC2 instance or the virtual machine, which uh, which will cost you even your code or application is not running, but your machine is on, the cost will occur to you. But on AWS Lambda, it will charge you only for the time the Lambda function is running. Okay, so it is pay as you go model. Like assume your Lambda function, you have deployed a script on a Lambda function, and throughout the day, the function is active or working for 15 minutes or few seconds only. So it will charge for those particular seconds only. Instead, it is not going to charge you for the whole day. Okay, so but still it is provisioning or deprovisioning the machine, the virtual machine or the infrastructure in the behind, but it is not charging for you for all those resources. The Lambda function is being chargeable only for the time it is running on its environment. Okay, so that is the flexible pricing model of AWS Lambda. So cost wise it is very effective. With AWS Lambda, you can run your code for virtually any type of application or backend service with zero administration charge. It means like as we said, like you can write your code or script with AWS Lambda in any of your preferred language, which is Lambda supported. Like you can write in C#, PHP, Python, Node.js, Ruby, Golang. Okay, so all this, any of the preferred language, you can write your code, and all the backend code, like any logical building block or the script you have written in any of the languages, that can be deployed with the AWS Lambda with zero administration. Means zero administration, the same thing, like you once you deployed your code, it will keep on running. Okay, then next you don't have to worry about that. Like as we discussed, like the infrastructure provisioning, like resources, memory uses, RAM, auto scaling of the resources as per the traffic grows, it all manages by the Lambda function itself in the behind. Okay, so that is actually the zero administration. Okay, we don't have to worry about the infra management or the administration with AWS Lambda. That is the third point. Also, AWS Lambda manages all the administration on our behalf in the background. Obviously, when we develop any application or any utility, there is some kind of administration if we are going to host the application on our side, on our responsibility, on any virtual machine or EC2 instances. Okay, but when we deploy the application with AWS Lambda, okay, what it does, Lambda functions responsibility is provisioning and capacity of resources like memory, CPU, network. Okay, for the required resources, like for the utility what we have written or the application what we develop with AWS Lambda, all the required resources, it provisions the capacity provisioning Lambda function does on behalf of us. Okay. So initially you have deployed any utility on with AWS Lambda. So initially, whatever capacity, whatever infrastructure the function will require, it Lambda function provisions that. Okay, and when your the traffic grows as per the application consumption grows, it also automatically scales up the resources. Okay, and when the traffic or the load comes down, it automatically scales down the resources. Okay, the memory, CPU, RAM, whatever is the requirement, it automatically manages. That is the first point. Server and OS maintenance. So whatever uh, server, it provisions or deprovisions in the background for in order to run our Lambda function. Okay, all the maintenance is also is the responsibility of AWS Lambda, like it uh, installing the updates and the patches to keep the servers updated. Okay, all Lambda function does on our behalf. That's its responsibility. High availability and automatic scaling, as we discussed, like it is always available. There is no downtime of AWS Lambda because it runs on AWS infrastructure, and that is highly available, and it runs on as per the multiple availability zone. Okay, in the AWS global infrastructure. And automatic scaling, like as per the traffic and demand grows, it automatically scales the resources, and it traffic comes down, and it de-scales the deprovisions the resources also. Okay, so in this way, it is managing the high availability of the application, whatever we develop with AWS Lambda. It also monitoring the health of the resources on the fleet, like whatever EC2 machines or the virtual machines, it provisions on the behalf of us for running the application. It Lambda function also monitors and maintain the health status of those resources. Okay. So on applying the security patches, updates on the resources, that is also the responsibility of the Lambda functions. What we do, we only deploy our code on Lambda. That is our responsibility. Okay, writing the script and testing that as per our requirement, that is our responsibility with Lambda function. So monitoring and logging of your code, that also we can do with AWS Lambda. We can connect with AWS CloudWatch. Okay, and with the CloudWatch, we can log. We can enable the debug log, information log. Okay, if you have to trace any errors or any log any information within your code block, okay, or statement, we can leverage the use of AWS CloudWatch in conjunction with AWS Lambda to in order to achieve the monitoring and logging purpose. And AWS Lambda runs our code on high availability compute infrastructure, the same as we discussed. Like it also, as per the demand, it also provisions the multiple servers. Okay, it does the auto scaling of the resources, and it also deprovisions the resources when the load and the traffic comes down, the consumptions comes down. Okay, so it's and the resources whatever configured in the background, that is highly available because it runs in the in AWS infrastructure, AWS network. Okay, so that was it. That's the important terms on components of the Lambda functions. Okay, thank you very much for now. If you like this video, stay connected, like and subscribe, and we will keep on moving with other videos with AWS Lambda. I'll share other videos also on this part. Thank you very much for now.